Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we discuss my thoughts on the anime series Brave Witches, which just wrapped up a few days ago as of the time of this recording, and I thoroughly enjoyed this particular anime series. It's one that I decided not to pick up an episodic review coverage, mainly because I just wanted to sit back and enjoy it for what it was. It was very much answering a fix that I was feeling the need for, of a very, sort of Kantai collection, Kankole-esque anime set within 1944, World War II era Europe and things of that sort. A whole group of fighter squadron chicks with these sort of airplane propeller appliances that go on their legs, and they have heavy artillery and all this kind of stuff. They do have somewhat a level of magic power. They are witches after all. But it was very much answering that void that Kantai collection, Kankole sort of anime gave me. It was an anime that I fell very much in love with, even though the anime itself was kind of wonky. Very much did I like the characters and things of that sort, and I liked the world that Kantai collection had sort of, built up and whatever like that. And this was very much kind of the same thing. The anime was very much in the vibe of the Kantai collection anime. I think it was a little more streamlined and more perfected in places. It wasn't anything earth-shattering storytelling-wise or anything like that. There wasn't any level of great gravitas, or, you wouldn't necessarily be missing out if you didn't decide to watch it, put it that way. But it had a lot less problems than the Kantai collection anime actually had, and you're essentially following around an offshoot of the original Strike Witches anime, an anime I'm completely unfamiliar with, I haven't seen at all, and I've heard conflicting sort of reports and comments back and forth that Strike Witches was actually a little more fan servicey. The action was not quite as streamlined and as polished as you got in Brave Witches, but the Brave Witches consists of the 502nd Joint Fighter Wing, and you're primarily following around the character of Hikari, who is very much like Fubuki in the Kankole anime. She's very much an underdog, aspiring to become stronger and greater and have more prowess. She's following in the footsteps of an elder sister who is actually briefly part of the 501st Joint Fighter Wing, which goes back to the Strike Witches sort of origin anime, if you will. And she had transferred over to the 502nd, and she became very much an integral part of it. Until in the very early going of the series, the sister comes home and then she goes out to battle and she ends up getting knocked out for the count. She goes into a coma because of something that goes awry in a battle, something like that. And Hikari very much wants to pick up the slack where her sister is not going to be around in the 502nd Joint Fighter Wing. And so a large chunk of the anime series sees her, joining this particular league of female fighters, if you will, and having to really try to earn their respect and support and prove to them that she's capable. She has this special ability called the Contact Eye, which is a sort of offshoot of an ability her sister actually has, where she has like a second sight. If you think back to Lion-O's Sword of Omens in the Thundercats, series, where they encounter these giant alien vessels or creatures. It's not quite clear what exactly they are, called the Naroi. And these Naroi vessels, they have this internalized core, which if you can locate and you can destroy, which the girls have done sort of by accident on occasion, but do they depend very largely on Hikari's sister to sort of put her mind to it, and her eyes change color and she can sort of see inside the mechanism of these Naroi vessels to find the core. This is usually how they pierce the heart of these vessels and destroy them, all told, but without her, how are they going to manage that? How are they going to pull that off? And basically Hikari's ability, as you might gain or glean from the name of it, Contact Eye, it's very much the same sort of, application, only in this case she has to actually make physical contact with the alien creature or vessel. And this is not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. These vessels come with these giant snake-like laser artillery weapons and things of that sort, and shielding and all kinds of crazy stuff to get in the way of allowing anyone to get in close, get into that close a favor with it, do a little CQC on it, that kind of thing. And so from right out of the gate, you have Hikari, she has an uphill battle trying to gain the support and the respect of the 502nd, especially in the case of one of my favorite characters in the anime, the character of Kano, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with the fact that she kind of looks like Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan. nothing to do with that at all. Plus the fact that she's very tsundere and she doesn't want anything to do with Hikari. You know, she's like, how dare you think you can come in here and try to fill the void of your sister who, you know, I've worked with for years. They're kind of partners, you know, this Kano and Hikari's sister prior to the story. And so she feels like Hikari is this very rambunctious little child. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She can't really bring anything to the table. It's going to just mess things up. And how dare you come in and try to, you know, fill that void your sister left behind. Your sister will be back. You will be sent, you know, to the dogs once again. And it's very much, you know, this is the one she has to impress the most. I don't remember all of the characters' names, mainly those two because they were my favorite characters in the anime. But each of the characters, kind of like Ken Cole, does have a personality quirk that you'll remember them, or a visible design that you'll remember them. There is a character who hails from Russia or Prussia, I don't remember exactly, and that is her hometown, and she has a lot of repressed memories that we spend an episode with her going back to this town, and, you know, because it's basically come under Naroi attack, and she's sort of dismissive about the fact that she, you know, this was her hometown. She doesn't really remember it, but as she is traipsing along the streets and everything like that, she's having flashback memories of being a child running along those boulevards. She ends up finding the flat she remembers growing up in, which she only just encounters that memory for a very, you know, the first time in a very long time. And so there is some character drama along those lines. And this particular character with the long blonde hair and sort of a bow in her hair did remind me of Yudachi from Kentai Collection, speaking of that series. You also have this character who is a short blonde-haired woman, very well endowed, and she's kind of a klutz. She's very much, she's known for basically destroying their airplane-like devices that go onto their legs time and time again. And she is kind of the triumvirate that begins to evolve between the main character, Hikari, Kano, as Kano starts to warm to Hikari's abilities and everything, and warm to her as a person, after, I might add, going through an entire sort of competition-like training situation, where as Hikari is training, you know, Kano comes up and is like, no, you're never going to be that tough. I'm going to always be tough you, and they start butting heads that way. But she very much answers that sort of triumvirate thing, this klutzy character with those other two. If you think of Star Trek with Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, that kind of thing. And you also have this sort of higher ranking character who is also short blonde haired, but she's very much into the other chicks. She's getting sort of touchy-feely, pushy on Hikari at times and things of that sort. And she's constantly getting reprimanded by the actual sort of, you know, chief character, you know, female character in this whole 502nd Joint Fighter Wing. So it is comical. There is a little bit of fan service. I mean, there are times when they close in on the butts and everything like that. All the girls have sort of military outfits for the most part, especially when they use their abilities, their witch abilities, their magic to go into battle. They'll always have an upper body sort of uniform, you know, clothing style thing going on, but primarily they're all wearing like Speedos on the bottom. So there are camera angles that will zoom in on them and things of that sort. So it does get a little fan servicey, but not as over the top as I'm led to believe Strike Witches got. So I guess that's a plus. And so it's very, you know, without wanting to spoil the series, whether or not you're planning on checking it out based on this recommendation, I don't know. You know, it's very much following Hikari's uphill battle to impress and gain the respect of the 502nd Joint Fighter Wing, and you know, kind of sort of doing so. I mean, there is a point where her sister actually does resurrect. She comes, you know, back out of the coma that she was in and everything, and they kind of butt heads because she feels like, what were you doing? You know, you shouldn't have done this. You should have followed orders and gone to this and that such a place, instead of coming here and try to take up, you know, the slack of my absence and all this kind of stuff. Not really being appreciative of everything Hikari has accomplished. So they do butt heads. And there is sort of a sour feeling that, you know, Hikari has accomplished so much by this point, and now she's being sent packing. But it does answer to, in sort of the finale, they come across the biggest Naroi alien ship being thing. These things are shapeshifters. They can become inanimate objects, vehicles, and such like that. But they come across the biggest tornado storm, hurricane storm one they've ever seen called Grigori, is the nickname or code name they give it. And they actually have these two giant cannons. They're going to, sort of hit it in a 1-2 punch framework, but things don't necessarily go to plan. And it turns out, even though Hikari's sister has become yet again an integral piece of that puzzle for the 502nd Joint Fighter Wing, and Hikari has been sent packing, Hikari's abilities, the contact eye, will become very much necessary if they have any hope of actually destroying this particular thing. And so it leaves off with a sense of closure by the end of the anime, but there's also a sort of openness to it because this isn't the last Naroi out there, so there could be a continuation down the line, and I'd actually be all for it. I thought it was a really fun and enjoyable anime. And so yeah, that's pretty much why I wanted to talk about it in this particular video. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below if you did watch it at all, if you had any interest in it whatsoever, and if not, why not? Let me know that as well. Anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. And so yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.